Good day everyone, we are Group 3 and in this video, we will discuss an important part of Customs Memorandum Order 3, 2020. Specifically, Section 10 up to Subsection 11.7. These sections guide the proper lodgement, filing, processing, storage, movement, and withdrawal of bonded goods inside customs bonded warehouses. Understanding these rules is essential because CBWs operate under strict customs supervision and any mistake in processing bonded goods can lead to penalties, delays, or even suspension of warehouse operations.
CMO 0322 provides the rules for handling goods under the Customs Bonded Warehouses System. Section 10 explains how importers must file the proper declarations to transfer goods into a bonded warehouses, either through direct filling of a warehouse SAD or through a transit process with additional movement control is required only after customs review and approval, then goods can be moved from the port to the warehouse. Section 11 applies the different ways bonded goods may be withdrawn. This includes withdrawal for production transfer to subcontractor, movements to accredited members, and sale between authorized exports. Enterprise special rules also apply for airlines, warehouses, and catering facilities. Throughout these withdrawals, the goods remains tax and duty suspended as long as they are used for export-related activities.
Customs Memorandum Order 3-2022, Section 10 established a clear structured framework for importers seeking to illegally transfer goods into a customs bonded warehouse. A critical process that balances regulatory compliance with operational efficiency. At the heart of this section is the requirement for importers to file a goods declaration, which must be submitted electronically to ensure speed, transparency, and ease of review. Customs authorities then conduct a thorough assessment of the declaration to verify its accuracy and confirms that all relevant rules and regulations are met. This review step is essential to prevent discrepancies, smuggling, or non-compliance with trade laws. Once the declaration passes inspection and all required fees are settled, Customs issues a permit to transfer the official authorization that allows the good to be moved from the port of entry to the bonded warehouse. Throughout this transit, the goods are subject to proper monitoring to ensure they reach their intended destination without interference. The process concludes only when the goods are physically received at the warehouse and accurately recorded in its inventory system, creating a complete paper trail that tracks the goods from port to storage. In a sense, Section 10 of CMO 3-2022 standardizes and simplifies the transfer process, ensuring that both importers and customs can operate with clarity and accountability, with facilitating the smooth flow of goods in the supply chain. The process of transferring imported goods to a customs bonded warehouse, as outlined in subsection 10.1 of CMO 3-2022, involves several critical steps to ensure compliance and proper documentation. First, the importer or their authorized customs broker must electronically file the warehousing single administrative document, or WSAD, through the customs system, attaching all necessary supporting documents such as invoices and permits. Once filed, the Bureau of Customs review the declarations for accuracy, compliance with customs rules, and eligibility under the warehousing program. This review may include documentary checks or physical examination if needed. The process is completed only when Customs confirms the arrival and proper inventory entry, ensuring traceability, compliance, and proper enforcement of regulations. Governing tax suspended imports in banded facilities. After successful evaluation and payment of applicable fees, excluding duties and taxes which are deferred, the warehouse single administrative document is approved and custom issues a permit to transfer. This permit authorizes the movement of goods from the port of the designated banded warehouse. The actual transfer must be monitored carefully, either through customs escort or an accredited tracking system. To maintain the integrity of the goods during transit, upon arrival at the warehouse operator acknowledges receipt and records the good in their inventory system.
Subsection 10.2 of CMO 03-2022 introduced an alternative procedure for transferring imported goods to a custom-bonded warehouse leveraging a transit declaration rather than a immediate warehousing single administrative document. This method is designed to maintain strict custom control over goods during their movement from the port of entry to the designated CBW. The process begins with the importer or customs broker lodging a transit single administrative document electronically, accompanied by all necessary supporting documents. The primary function of this TSAD is to secure authorization for the physical movement of the shipment, ensuring the goods remain under continuous customs supervision. Upon filling, the Bureau of Customs meticulously evaluates the submitted information for accuracy and legitimacy.
Once the transit entry is approved, Customs issue a specific transit permit, which formally allows the physical transfer of the goods. A critical aspect of this procedure is rigorous monitoring of the transfer. It is typically achieved through customs escort or an approved electronic tracking and sealing system, designed to prevent any diversion or tampering with the shipment while in transit. Upon the goods' arrival at the banded warehouse, a crucial step involved formal receipt, recording, and verification by both the warehouse operator and customs officials. It is only after this arrival is confirmed and properly entered into the system that the importer proceeds to the file to record warehousing SAD. This subsequent filing serves to complete the documentation and formally place the goods under the banded warehouse regime. Throughout this entire sequence, the good benefit from tax and duty suspension, provided all regulatory requirements are strictly adhered to. This transit declaration pathway ultimately enhances transparency, accountability, and secure tracking within the banded system, ensuring goods remain under custom control under their formal warehouse.
Section 11 of the regulation outlines the essential rules and procedure for the withdrawal of goods from a custom banded warehouse CBW. Before goods can be removed, the importer must file the appropriate declaration, which specifies the purpose of withdrawal, whether for export, local consumption, transfer, or destruction. This declaration is a critical step that allows customs to review and verify that all requirements and conditions are met for the withdrawal. If the withdrawal is intended for domestic use or local consumption, the importer is required to settle all applicable duties and taxes prior to approval. Once the request is reviewed and approved by customs, a withdrawal permit is issued, authorizing the physical movement of goods. The process does not end with the permit. The movement of goods must be carefully recorded and monitored throughout transit. This ongoing supervision ensures that the goods are properly tracked and accounted for until customs confirms their final disposition.
This system of control and monitoring is vital for maintaining compliance compliance with customs regulations, protecting government revenue and ensuring that the goods are used or disposed of in accordance with legal requirements. Overall, these procedures help uphold the integrity of the bonded warehouse system, ensuring transparency and proper management of imported goods.
Subsection 11.1 of Customs Memorandum Order 3/2022 governs the critical process of withdrawing bonded raw materials from a customs bonded warehouse for manufacturing or production purposes, placing strict emphasis on accountability and authorized use. For materials to be released, the importer or warehouse operator must first submit the required declaration and obtain formal approval from customs, a preliminary step designed to ensure compliance with trade regulation from the outset. A key safeguard in this process is the requirement that withdrawals align with an approved bill of materials or production input report. This ensures that only the exact quantity of raw materials needed for production is released, preventing over-withdrawal or diversion for unauthorized uses. Once customs grants the authorization, the materials can be transported to the production area, but the process does not end there. Every withdrawal must be meticulously recorded for inventory management, ongoing monitoring, and future auditing. Ultimately, this control serves a dual purpose. They maintain accurate tracking of all bonded inputs throughout the production cycle and guarantee that these materials are used exclusively for authorized export production. In doing so, subsection 11.1 strikes a balance between facilitating smooth manufacturing operation and upholding the integrity of the bonded warehouse system.
Subsection 11.2 delineates the specific procedures for withdrawing bonded goods from a customs bonded warehouse. For the purpose of transferring them to an accredited subcontractor, this process is carefully controlled to ensure compliance and accountability at every stage. Prior to the release of any goods, the importer is required to file a formal request and obtain explicit approval from customs. This approval hinges on verifying that the subcontractor is duly authorized under the relevant programs and regulations.
Crucial aspects of the withdrawal process is the strict adherence to approved production requirements. The quantity of the goods withdrawn must correspond directly to the documented needs of the production process to be undertaken by the subcontractor. Accurate and up-to-date records must be maintained to reflect the transfer of goods from the CBW to the subcontractor facility. The movement of this good is subject to customs monitoring, ensuring that the transfer is conducted transparently and securing the constructor is obligated to utilize the received items strictly. For the authorized production purposes, the outlined in the approved agreement, all of costs resulting from the subcontracted productions must be meticulously accounted for. Any finished products or unused materials remaining after the production process must be either returned to the CBW or reported to customs required. These measures are intentional to maintain inventory accuracy, ensure the compliance with customs regulations, and prevent any unauthorized use or diversion of the bonded goods.
Section 11.3 outlines the regulated procedures for withdrawing bonded raw materials from a common customs bonded warehouse, CCBW, for transfer
to an accredited member company. This process emphasizes strict compliance and accountability to maintain the integrity of bounded goods under customs supervision. Before any withdrawal can occur, the accredited member must file a necessary declaration and obtain approval from customs. This approval ensures the quantity of raw materials withdrawal aligns precisely with the member-approved location and production requirements, thus control, prevent unauthorized use or diversion of bounded goods.
Once authorized, the transfer of goods is conducted under stringent monitoring and proper documentation. Both the CCBW and the accredited member must accurately record and withdrawals in their respective inventory systems. The dual recording system guarantees transparency and traceability, ensuring that the raw materials are used exclusively for authorized export production. These procedures support compliance with customs regulations and facilitate audits, safeguarding government revenue and promoting responsible management of bonded materials throughout the supply chain.
Subsection 11.4 provides a framework for the efficient withdrawal and transfer of semi-finished or finished goods between accredited member companies operating within the same custom common bonded manufacturing warehouse. This intra-CCBMW transfer is designed to streamline production process while maintaining strict custom control. Prior to any transfer, the sealing member company is required to file a necessary declaration and secure formal approval from customs. These steps ensure that the proposed transaction is legitimate and aligned with established regulations. The transaction must be meticulously documented as a sale, reflecting accurate pricing and terms, and must be consistent with approved production records and export commitments.
Once custom authorization is granted, the goods may be transferred under appropriate monitoring protocols. Both the selling and purchasing member companies are obligated to record the transaction accurately in their respected inventory system. This dual recording ensures transparency and traceability, allowing customs to track the movement of goods and verify that they continue to be used exclusively for export production within the bonded warehousing regime. This control transfer mechanism support operational efficiency while upholding the integrity of the custom bonded system. Subsection 11.5 outlines the procedure for the sale and transfer of semi-finished or finished bonded product. A manufacturing custom bonded warehouse (MCBW) or an accredited member of a common CBW to another MCBW or a locator within a Philippines Economic Zone Authority PEZA or other designated region. This provision facilitates the movement of goods within qualified export-oriented facility while maintaining their tax and duties suspended status.
The movement of this good is subject to customs monitoring, ensuring that the transfer of conducted transparently and securely. The constructor is obligated to utilize the received items strictly for the authorized production purposes. As outlined in approved agreement, all outputs resulting from the constructed productions must be meticulously accounted for. Any finished products or unused materials remaining after the production process must be either returned to the CBW report to customs as required. These measures are essential to maintain inventory accuracy, ensure compliance with customs regulations, and prevent any unauthorized use or diversion of the bonded goods. Accurate and comprehensive documentation is essential. Both the selling and purchasing parties are required to update their inventory records to reflect transfer, ensuring full accountability for the goods. Furthermore, both parties must be comply with all applicable monitoring and reporting requirements, providing customs with the information indeed or needed to verify compliance and maintain the integrity of the bonded warehousing system. This rigorous process ensure transparency, accountability, and continuous tax and duty suspension of the goods as they move between qualified, export-oriented or facilities.
Section 11.6 outline the process of withdrawing finished bonded goods from a manufacturing customs bonded warehouse or an accredited client exporter for sale to qualified buyers. Before any goods can be released, the seller must file a paid declaration and obtain customs approval, ensuring the transaction complies with the applicable export program requirements. The sale must be properly documented to reflect terms in compliance, and the goods remain under duty and taxes suspension throughout the withdrawal process. This suspension is maintained as long as the goods are intended strictly for export and not for domestic consumption. Inventory record must be only updated by the seller to maintain accurate tracking of the goods. Additionally, all movements of the bonded goods are subject to customs monitoring to guarantee full accountability and adherence to regulator standards. This procedure ensures that bonded goods are securely managed, supporting transparency and compliance within the export framework.
Section 11.7 details the procedure permitting the withdrawal and sale of bonded goods from an industry customs bonded warehouse to its accredited client and user. This process is designed to facilitate the efficient flow of goods to legitimate export-oriented businesses while maintaining strict customs oversight. Before any goods can be released, the ICBW operator is required to lodge the necessary declaration with customs and obtain formal approval. A critical condition for approval is the accreditation status of the end user. This accreditation ensures that the goods will be used exclusively for export-related production activities and not diverted into domestic trade channels. Once customs approval is secured, the goods may be transferred to the accredited end users under the customs monitoring. This monitoring may involve physical escorts, electronic tracking, or other measures to ensure the integrity of the transfer. To maintain accountability and transparency, the transaction must be accurately recorded in both ICBW's and the end user's inventory system. This controlled process ensures regulatory compliance and the continued suspension of duties and taxes, provided the goods are used solely for authorized export purposes. By facilitating the efficient transfer of goods to accredited end users, Section 11.7 support export-oriented industries while upholding the integrity of the customs bonded system.
Subsection 11.7.1 details the specific step for withdrawing bonded goods from an industry custom bonded warehouse (ICBW) for sale to an accredited client and user. This process is structured to maintain strict regulatory control and ensure that the goods are used exclusively for export-related production. Prior to any withdrawal, the ICW is required to file the necessary goods declaration with customs and obtain accredited status of the client and user only and users officially accredited under the bonded warehousing program are eligible to receive the goods, ensuring that they will be used strictly for export-related production activities and not divert into domestic trade.
Once customs approval is granted, the goods may be released from ICW under customs supervision. This supervision may involve physical escort, electronic tracking, or other measures to ensure the integrity of the transfer. To maintain accurate records and accountability, both the ICBW and the accredited end user must record the withdrawal and transfer in their respective inventory systems. This controlled process ensures proper tracking of goods, maintains accountability at each stage, and guarantees the continuous suspension of taxes and duties provided the goods remain with the export production chain. By adhering to these procedures, the integrity of the bonded warehouse program is upheld and the intended benefits for export-oriented industry are realized.
And Section 11.7.2 outlines the specific regulations governing the withdrawal and release of bonded goods from an airline catering industry customs bonded warehouse, or ICBW. These rules are designed to ensure the bonded warehouse that bonded goods are used exclusively for the preparation and flight meals at released airline suppliers, thereby maintaining their duty and tax suspended status. Before any good can be released, the ICBW operator is required to file the necessary declaration with customs and obtain formal approval. A critical condition for this approval is that all withdrawals must correspond directly to documented airline's order. This requirement ensures that the goods are used solely for international flights, which qualifies them for continued duty and tax suspension. To maintain strict control and prevent diversion, proper monitoring, documentation, and inventory updates are mandatory. These measures enable customs to track the movement of goods, verify their intended use, and ensure the full compliance with all applicable customs regulations. By adhering to these procedures, the integrity of the bonded warehousing system is upheld, and the intended benefits for the airline catering industry are realized.
Section 11.7.3 outlines the regulatory framework for the withdrawal of bonded goods from an airline industry customs bonded warehouse. These regulations ensure that bonded goods are used exclusively in international airline operations, such as aircraft supplies, spare parts, and consumables, thereby maintaining their duty and tax-free status. Prior to any withdrawal, the airline or warehouse operator is required to file the necessary declaration with customs and obtain formal approval. A key condition for this approval is the release of goods must correspond directly to authorized flight requirements. This ensures that the goods are used solely for international flights and remain eligible for duty and tax-free treatment. To prevent diversion, domestic use, and maintain air control, all withdrawn items must be properly recorded and monitored. These include accurate inventory records and traceability mechanisms to track the movement and utilization of the goods. By adhering to these procedures, the integrity of the customs bonded system is upheld, and legitimate international aviation operations are supported while ensuring compliance with all applicable regulations.
Subsection 11.7.4 outlines the specific guidelines for withdrawing bonded goods stored in multinational regional industry custom bonded warehouse. These regulations are designed to ensure that the bonded goods are released only to qualified and accredited end users within the regional supply chain of the multinational company, thereby maintain their duty and tax exempt status.
Before any withdrawal can occur, The warehouse operator is required to lodge the necessary goods declaration with customs and obtain from approval. A key condition for this approval is that all movements of goods must be properly documented and monitored. This measures that the goods are remain within the export production framework and continue to qualify for duty and tax exemption.
Subsection 11.7.5 outlines the specific procedure that must be followed when an importer or warehouse operator intends to withdraw bonded goods from a customs bonded warehouse for domestic consumption. This process is carefully regulated to ensure the proper collection of government revenue and to prevent the unauthorized diversion of tax-suspended bonded goods into the domestic market. Before any goods can be released for domestic consumption, the importer is required to file the proper declaration with customs and settle all applicable duties, taxes, and other government charges. This ensures that the government receives the revenue it is due on the imported goods.
Once payment has been confirmed and customs approved, the withdrawal of permit is issued, authorizing the release of the goods from the warehouse. This permit serves as official authorization for the removal of the goods from the bonded warehouse. To maintain accurate records and ensure proper monitoring, the withdrawal must then be recorded in the warehouse inventory system. This update to the stock levels helps to prevent discrepancies and ensures that the warehouse inventory records are accurate and up to date.
By adhering to the procedures, the government can ensure the proper collection of revenue and the unauthorized diversion of tax-suspended bonded goods into the domestic market can be prevented, thereby maintaining the integrity of the customs system.